Alright guys, welcome back to Beat 'em Up Joes. We're going to continue on Super Mario World. Again today I'm just kind of hanging out, streaming, making sure that everything's working right before I start streaming Resident Evil 2. That's probably the first game that I'll start streaming. There was some news recently about the Resident Evil 2 remake. Some goofy stuff about 4K 60 frames on PS4 Pro. I don't have a PS4 Pro yet, so that stuff doesn't really bother me too much. It's cool, but I'm more concerned with, what the game is going to be. I hope it's similar to the original Resident Evil. They talked also about it having a a camera style similar to that of Resident Evil 4, which I'm all for. Resident Evil 4 was awesome. So, if it's, similar to Resident Evil 4, I'm okay with that too. But, I hope they keep some of the spirit of the original Resident Evil 2. One of my favorite games of all time. Like I said earlier, I'd probably put in my top 5 games. But we shall see what happens with that. Only time will tell. And, we may not even hear anything about it at E3. I would really like to hear something about it finally. Maybe see a trailer. That'd be great. But after playing Resident Evil 7, I've gotten really into Resident Evil again. We're back in the Vanilla Dome. Apparently I didn't save some of my progress from earlier, but we can play these levels again. Funny thing, the first time I played Super Mario World, this is one of the first levels that I saw, at least this background style, and those little sparkles on the rocks back there in the background. For whatever reason, that struck me. That's magic. It's magic. But it is really snazzy looking. I mean, even if it's just little pulsing plus signs. But back in the day, that blew my mind. Super Nintendo, again, one of my favorite consoles of all time. I think the only thing that beats it for me is the PS3. I like the PS3 a lot, especially the original backwards compatible model. I just got one of those this year, and it's awesome. Just the ability to play PS1, PS2, and PS3 games all in one console with HDMI. Especially with all the video that I capture and the streaming that I do, it just makes things real handy. Makes older games look a tiny bit better. It's just really cool all around. Oh no. It's finally cooled off a little bit. I'm very happy about that. This guy you can actually throw a couple fireballs at and take him out. Excuse me. Ah, crap. That worked out. But I got this Elgato HD 60S not too long ago from a guy on Facebook. He was selling his that he had bought and got it pretty cheap. Pretty happy about it. It's a pretty cool little device, especially with the SNES Classic Edition, because the HD60S only does HDMI, but it does 60 frames. So, in conjunction with the Super Nintendo Classic Edition, it's pretty slick. Pretty slick. There is a little bit of lag or latency when using the HD60S, but that may be my setup, configuration stuff, or it may be, like my video card or RAM or, something to that effect. My computer's not really optimized for gaming or anything. I've got a, I think it's a 750 GTX. It's not the greatest thing, but it's a little bit of power. I've got 16 gigs RAM, so kind of middle of the road type stuff, but it works out so far. It's the heavy video editing that I'm a little bit worried about in the future, but the stuff that I have edited so far, I haven't had too much of a problem with. A little bit of, like jutteriness when, working with video, but so far so good. I did have some computer issues a little while back. I was able to get it running again, and just got some issues lined out recently, so trying to get some streaming going and hopefully start recording some more videos soon. I've got a video that I'm shooting presently about the original Xbox and the drive door not opening. I got one of those that did that. It's a pretty common issue with the original Xbox, and I actually got one for free that had that issue, and it was a super simple fix, so I decided to make a video about it, show people how to, fix that, and I'll probably just do a series of videos. I thought it'd be a cool idea to do a series of videos about, super simple to fix common issues with older consoles. So, like that, and, yellowing Super Nintendos, for example, stuff like that. So, I think that'll be a cool series. I still want to do, like, my collections as a series. I've got the Super Nintendo video that I have a trailer for up on the channel. I'm going to be shooting that video as soon as I can. I had that video shot originally, but I actually lost the footage somehow. I don't know how I did it. I was super mad about it, but I've gotten some more cooler stuff since I shot that video originally anyway, so I can put a bunch of that stuff in the video. It'll be really cool. I got a couple lots of cool games recently. I got a Zelda pack-in Super Nintendo console box, and the only thing missing out of that box was the Hyrule map from Link to the Past, so I found a guy on North American Super Nintendo Collectors Group on Facebook, and he got that guy to me real cheap. I can't say enough how cool those guys are in the North American Super Nintendo Collectors Group on Facebook. If you're into Super Nintendo, get in that group. I don't know how many games I've bought from these guys for good prices. They're real nice guys, easy to deal with. And there's a few that are like super knowledgeable. Dan G and Tim, I can't remember his last name right offhand, but that dude's super knowledgeable. If you guys are here, thanks for joining me. You guys are awesome. But North American Super Nintendo Collectors Group. Joe Lieberger, I hope I pronounced your name right, but he's a cool dude. But have a lot of fun in that group with those guys. Especially since I've been collecting Super Nintendo. I'm up to a little over 100 titles on Super Nintendo, so that's been fun. Got my first console box, so I'm super jazzed about that. And speaking of Super Mario World, I actually just got a Super Mario World. 100 titles in, and I just got a Super Mario World. One of the, games to have for the console, and I just got it. Yeah, that sound is weird when you get the cape. I don't know if that's a SNES Classic Edition thing. I know on the NES Classic there was some weird sound issues with like Legend of Zelda. If you were in the dungeons, that dungeon theme had like 2 or 3 different square wave parts that would kind of cancel each other out on the NES Classic, so that sound being goofed up may be, Super Nintendo Classic stuff, but, it's nitpicky. Most people probably wouldn't even notice that that sounds a little goofed up. But the games look and run fantastic. Some games do run a little bit different, like little precision stuff that you can do in original cart form games you can't do on the SNES Classic, or at least not in the same way. Like I've been working all week on that turning punch trick on Final Fight, trying to get video for that, and I just can't get it out of the SNES Classic. But maybe eventually I'll finally get it, and I'll get that up on Instagram and Facebook. It won't be a long enough video for, YouTube. Maybe I'll put in like a highlight reel with some other cool stuff that I do in Super Nintendo games. But this is Super Mario World. Bullet Bill level is awesome. Yeah, these are cool levels. Yeah. Woo. I especially like the large bullet bills in Mario World. I think they're really cool. Real cutesy, typical Nintendo stuff. Ah, I missed that waypoint, didn't I? Or, yeah. Oh, I forgot all about that. It's so cool. I forgot all about them doing that. They really do come in from all angles. I don't even remember what's in these boxes, if anything. No, I can't even get to those. Probably with a Yoshi or something you could get to them. But... so cool. It's been a while since I've really played through Super Mario World. I used to play through it all the time. Because I had my Super Nintendo for a little while after it was over, but not like a long time. It was about the time the PlayStation had come out. I decided I wanted a PlayStation. So, instead of my Super Nintendo, but I kind of regret getting rid of some of the stuff that I had for Super Nintendo. But, when you're a kid, I think I was 14, 15 years old, and I wanted to play, like Tekken, and WrestleMania, the arcade game, was one of my big games. It's kind of a guilty pleasure, I guess. But that was one of my big games, and like it was almost arcade perfect conversion on the PlayStation. So I wanted that. What else was out on the PlayStation at that time? It was pretty early on. Um, Mortal Kombat 3 was there. I used to be really into Mortal Kombat. Not so much anymore. Even the new Mortal Kombat games, I just don't. Me and my wife had a lot of fun with Mortal Kombat 9 for a while. But I don't know. I didn't even buy Mortal Kombat X. I probably will at some point. Ugh. I think it's cheap now. It may be 20 bucks. I don't know. So many other things to buy and not buy. Kind of in a not buying phase right now. But no, I was talking about the PlayStation. I really liked Tekken at the beginning of the PlayStation when I had it. Tekken was awesome, and I still like Tekken quite a bit. Especially like some of the goofier ones that people didn't like 4. I thought 4 was fantastic. I like how it had the angled ground and stuff like that. Water was introduced in 4. It was a smaller roster. That may be one of the things that really got people. The bounce off the wall counter was introduced in 4. Really cool game. 5 was really good. I think most everybody really liked 5, and 6 kind of got, not a lot of people liked it, even though it was like the next generation thing for the PS3 and Xbox 360. It was, but people didn't really like that one, as I recall. I may have that backwards. People may not have liked 5 a whole lot. And then 7, Tekken 7, I just didn't particularly care for. There were things about it that I think are really cool, but all in all, I don't know. The casual scene kind of dropped out in Tekken 7, so that was one big bummer. Playing online was just not really fun because it's a lot of the really good people that are actually there, and it was that way from launch. So I actually sold my copy, so the casual crowd may have come back by now, and I don't even know it, because I'm not a great fighting game player. I like to play them, but I'm not fantastic at them. I think the game I'm best at as far as fighters go is Street Fighter 2, and I couldn't hold my own against really, anybody at that game, really. But I like to play it. It's a classic. First time I played Street Fighter 2 was on the Super Nintendo. And then later on, there was a Taylor's in my hometown. It was a gas station. What are they called now? I think they're called Sefco now, or at least that's the people that took over the Taylor's in town. And they had a Street Fighter cabinet, Street Fighter 2, World Warrior. And that was really cool to go down to the gas station and play Street Fighter 2 on an arcade game. That was really cool, because I didn't grow up in a town with an arcade. We had a laundromat pool hall thing for like very short time that had a Cruising USA, and there was something else there that I didn't really like playing, but We had it for a little bit. It lasted a very short amount of time, and it was gone. But that Cruis'n USA was fun to play. I've always kind of liked that game. But no, I don't have near the arcade experience that most of you guys have. I think the biggest games that I played, in, like on arcade cabinets, were we had a Mortal Kombat at the Walmart in the town next door. That was in the Mortal Kombat craze, and I bet you that went away after everybody got all freaked out about it. But I remember playing that a few times. We had a Mortal Kombat 2 that I played on a couple times at a theme park type place here in town called Wonderland. I played that a few times. That Street Fighter 2 in my hometown. I'm trying to think what other arcade games I really had any experience with. Galaga quite a bit. There were Galaga machines here and there. It's probably one of the reasons that I really like Galaga. It's one of my favorite arcade games. I've seen a lot, even within the last 5 years, they have that, I think it's Miss Pac-Man Galaga machine that's just kind of everywhere. I'd like to have one. That'd be cool. But I don't have the space for it right now anyway. But that would be cool to have. But I think those are really all the games that I have real experience with in arcades. I think I played an NBA Jam one time in arcades. But mostly on Super Nintendo. I like NBA Jam a lot, and I may be just making that up. I may have not ever played NBA Jam in the arcade. I know I never played WrestleMania the arcade game. That was just on consoles. I'd like to play it on a cabinet, but I never have. But those are all huge midway arcade games. I never played, Oh, and I guess Neo Geo MVS machines. I saw a few of those here and there. Our bowling alley had one. And, I play Samurai Showdown 2 and stuff like that. Not a lot of Fatal Fury. I've never played a lot of Fatal Fury. Just because some of the ports that I've played have just been pretty bad. The Super Nintendo port's not great in my opinion. You know what Fatal Fury game I've played a lot of? When I had my PSP, you could do Neo Geo CD for all emulation or something like that. And I played Real Bout Fatal Fury Special on that quite a bit. That's really cool, a Fatal Fury game. Real cartoony looking. It kind of reminds me of a Nintendo game. But that was a lot of fun. And King of Fighters I've always had kind of a love for as far as SNK goes. I've never been a huge Metal Slug fan like a lot of people. I guess because I've never really had a lot of exposure to it. But I love those kind of games like Contra. Metal Slug feels a lot like a, run and gun Contra game. It's got a little bit more humor to it and stuff. But I've never really gotten the appeal of Metal Slug. I think it's mainly because I've just never played a lot of it. Oh man, excuse me guys. Samurai Showdown I've always really liked though. I've played quite a bit of Samurai Showdown 2. There was also a port of the original Samurai Showdown on Super Nintendo. And I was pretty young when that came out. I remember I bought it boxed. And of course I tore up the box. I always did that when I was a kid. Lost the manual, stuff like that. But It didn't have the scrolling effect that made Samurai Showdown kind of famous. That whole zoom in, zoom out scrolling effect that Samurai Showdown does. It didn't have that, but for the most part, it seemed like a pretty competent port. I may be wrong. If you know something about the Super Nintendo Samurai Showdown port that I don't, definitely let me know there. But I played quite a bit of it. I liked it. But if I'm wrong, just tell me, you're crazy, dude. Samurai Showdown Super Nintendo is terrible. Don't play that garbage. But I thought it was pretty cool. But we're talking about fighting games. We're playing a platformer, Super Mario World. I'm not even good at fighting games. I don't know why I like them so much. I guess because there's more of those than there is beat 'em ups, and I really like beat 'em up games. I don't know, there's something about dudes just beating the hell out of dudes with their fists and feet and stuff. I think it's cool. Like, Karate Kid is one of my favorite movies. I just like stuff like that. Maybe because I'm a fat kid and I can't do stuff like that. I don't know. I used to, when I was a kid, I used to like go out in the front yard and practice karate. I didn't know any karate. I was kind of a weird kid, kind of a loner. But I just hang out in the yard, just flipping around doing karate kicks. Sure, the neighbors laugh their asses off at me. I would. Like if the neighbor kid was just out in the front yard just like flipping around and crap, I'd laugh at him. It's good times. Ah, Wiggler! Asshole! Made my Yoshi run away. I'm sorry I cussed. I'm trying not to. I'm trying to be a good guy. These Goombas always weirded me out. So this is the one thing about Super Mario World that just really weirds me out. Let me find another one. I guess there isn't going to be another one. But the Goombas in this game are round. They're not triangular shaped like they are in every other Super Mario game. They're round. It's weird. That's one thing about this game that just always just weirds me out. Oh no, this turtle's gonna get me. Ah! I made it. I like Blue Mario. I can fly around. So this forest just kind of like goes in a circle. It kind of weirds you out. There's even one section, if you go the wrong way, you just kind of flip through the circle and go around back to where you were. It's kind of funny. But here we are in another ghost house. These are so much fun. I've always really liked the ghost houses. Big Boo is cute. I like how they cover their eyes when you look at them. They're little scaredy ghosts. Oh, don't look at me. Don't look at me. I'm a scary ghost, but don't look at me. I like these little floaty ghosts. They kind of look like the three-eyed fish from The Simpsons. I always like do that with some of these 2D graphics, some of these sprites. I kind of like assign things that are familiar to me to them. Like there's a flying bat dude in Super Castlevania 4 that every time I see it, it reminds me of a Ninja Turtle. And I'll definitely be playing Super Castlevania at some point on the channel. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. He always looks like a Ninja Turtle to me. And you never know. Like Konami did develop a lot of Ninja Turtle games. That might have been recycled Ninja Turtle assets that they used in Castlevania. You never know. And I may have told you about it first. But I'm just hanging out. I'm having a good time. Streaming, playing some Super Nintendo, even if nobody's watching. One of these days. But if you are watching, thank you for joining me here at Beat 'em Up Joe's. I hope you're enjoying yourself playing some Super Mario World. I'm going to try to 100% this guy. I don't know if I've ever, opened and completed every level in this game, but that is the goal here. And I have these stupid deaths. But there's a level in this world where you can just get ton of men. I think it's actually this level. It's one of these levels. When I get there, I'll remember it and show you how I always like farm extra lives in Super Mario World. I like the little happy cloud. He's a little happy cloud. That's Bob Ross. Didn't that dude die recently? I may be full of crap, That dude may be alive and well. I don't know. I feel like I heard recently that dude died. But, everybody else is dying. David Bowie died? I feel like he did. Yeah, I feel like that's totally a thing. Bill Paxton died? Game over, man. Game over. It's crazy. Who else died? A lot of people died. That dude from the Eagles died. I don't remember which one it was. Glenn Frey, however you say his name. I think it was that dude. I like the Eagles a lot. I like that. One of these nights. It's a good song. When I played the Phantom Pain. No, Ground Zeroes. In Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes, you could assign a song to the helicopter that comes to pick you up. And I put One of These Nights into my PlayStation just so it would play on the helicopter when it came to pick me up. So every time the helicopter came in to pick up Snake, it'd be all doom 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 doom. I loved it. I thought it was freaking cool. And it was period accurate. I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. I ended up really liking Metal Gear Solid 5, even though, it has its problems. It didn't really tie up the story the way that I hoped it would. All that trouble with Kojima and Konami. Have you guys seen that stupid Snake Eater Pachinko? Oh my god. So, if you guys haven't seen this, so Konami made this pachinko machine, which is basically a slot machine in Japan, and it has rendered cutscene art in this pachinko machine, this slot machine, and it's awesome looking, dude. Why didn't you just remaster Snake Eater and put it out on consoles? No, we make slot machine, and we make really pretty Snake Eater. Come on, dude, what are you doing? Cause these guys that are going to these, these pachinko parlors. They go and sit down at this pachinko machine. They don't give a crap about Metal Gear Solid. What are you doing? Maybe they do. Maybe in Japan, gambling is a little bit, closer tied to gaming than it is here. But it's always been my understanding that gaming is not near as, cool as it seems to us here. I don't think they even really think it's cool. I know I've heard several times about guys that started at Nintendo. It was always kind of frowned upon that, oh, you make video games? So, excuse me, guys. burpee drinking beer. But yeah, it just blows my mind that they did that. I see these cutscenes from this pachinko machine, and I'm just like, why? Gosh, excuse me. But Metal Gear Solid's probably one of my all-time favorite series. It's really good stuff. Really good stuff. Especially like Snake Eater and Peace Walker. Peace Walker is awesome game. And, you know, some of that stuff came over into Metal Gear Solid 5. You know, the base building and the, you know, the troops that you gather. It's really cool stuff. But I liked, like, the boss fights in Peace Walker. There were these, like, 3 or 4 just giant mech machines that you fought in boss fights. And they were awesome. I mean, they weren't, you know, Metal Gear Rex or anything, but they were cool machines. And, you know, to me, that's what Metal Gear Solid is. You know, it's freaking crazy anime story with these giant mechs that you fight. That's Metal Gear. But I went the wrong way again. This is a bummer. I'm lost already. It's the Forest of Illusion. And this may even be the level where you get all those lives. I'm pretty sure it is, actually. I went right past it. These damn wigglers. There's one of those Goombas. So, these Goombas here, they're round. They're not like triangular shaped, pyramid head. That they are in every other Mario game. It's weird. But Super Mario World is awesome, so yeah. This is how you get all the lives. So, right after the feather is the star. Grab the star and just start killing these dudes. And eventually you start getting like 3-ups for every guy that you get. See that? And you can just do that over and over. If you hit that, you know, halfway point in the level, you go right back. Excuse me, guys. But this is what I've always done. You get that star, and you just hit as many of these as you can. And, you know, 1 up, 2 up, 1 up, 2 up, 1 up, 2 up, 2 up, 2 up, for, you know, every enemy that you start hitting. And, you know, you can always get flowers and feathers out of that as well. But this is how I get all my lives. I'll get 99 lives, like, real quick. Probably, like, 5 runs through this. So it's not going to matter that I die a lot. Because I will. I'm not the best at Mario, but I have a lot of fun with it. Okay, so maybe it's a little more than 5 runs. Oops. Feather, star. So I've got 75 lives now. Do it a few more times, I'll have my 99 men. Feather, star. So I don't know how many of you guys do this. You know, I've always felt like I discovered this, you know. There's probably a bunch of other people that like use this same part of the level. to get a bunch of lives. Or there's probably better tricks. But I've always thought this one was really cool. When I discovered it, I was like, yeah! Because, you know, I'm a pro Mario player. Nintendo sponsored and all that. Cool Nintendo story that I read in a Game Informer one time. I wish I still had this Game Informer that I read this in. But one of their electronic toys, I don't know what it was, but it wasn't an American one. One of their electronic toys. Maybe it was a handheld or something like that. But on the battery cover it says, "Baby, no eat battery." And Game Informer had wrote a story about that. I thought it was so funny. Nintendo's such a silly company. Like, in every way, they're always like making some kind of goofy joke, or just making it like overly cute. They're really cool. I've always really liked Nintendo's sensibilities when it comes to video games and marketing. They're super family focused, and you know, like, I never have to worry if like my son comes in here and I'm playing a game and I'm playing Mario. I never have to worry about that, you know. Say I'm playing like I don't even know, but like a lot of games, especially nowadays, my son comes in and I'm kind of like, oh no, I don't really, you know, want you to see this, but I don't know. After having kids, and I've got 2 kids now, but it's gotten to a point to where, you know, I play a lot of video games. It doesn't really bother me a whole lot anymore. And like, they find stuff on their own that's like 10 times worse than what's in these games. But back to what I was talking about, like, if my son comes in or he's playing a Nintendo game, I never really have to worry about the content. Like Saints Row. He plays Saints Row every once in a while, and I've never really played a lot of those games, but sometimes I'll play that one with him, or I'll sit there and watch him play it. But some of the stuff that goes on in that game, I'm just like, oh my gosh, dude. It's really not something a 6-year-old should be playing. But, you know, the way I've always seen this stuff, especially when it comes to violence and, you know, just overall adult situations in video games and movies and so on and so forth, is that this is entertainment. This is not, you know, this is not reality, and this is nothing that should be construed as reality. So you've got to have that understanding going into a piece of entertainment, be it a book, a movie, a TV show, video game. You have to go in armed with that, because, you know, this stuff is an escape from life. Why bring that stuff back into life with you? It's just the way I see it anyway. So, like, these people that are, you know, blaming video games for gun violence and crap, you're out of your mind, dude. Because, I mean, it's been around since the beginning of time. You know, people are always going to kill people. It's not the fault of video games or movies or books. I know there were times the books were banned and burned. That was way before my time. But, you know, there was a time that was done. There was a time when uh, rock and roll was vilified. It was the devil's music. It's just silly, you know. It's entertainment. It's escape from life. Um, but you know, I'm gonna take a quick break. I'll be back with you guys in a moment. I'm gonna take away my camera here and put a little "be right back" message for you. Alright guys, I'm back. Thanks for joining me here on Beat 'em Up Joe's. If you're just joining me or if you've been here for a little bit watching my be right back message. I'm going to get my webcam back in here, get rid of this message, and we'll get back to Super Mario World. And actually, I'm going to switch it up a little bit. I'm going to play something else for a bit. I am going to save my game this time. Last time I did not save, and I had to go back through a couple levels that... Excuse me. I apologize, guys. Drinking a few beers tonight, and I'm a little burpy. But I'm just hanging out, streaming some Super Nintendo games. I found that I've got two different Elgato boxes. One that I bought because it was the cheaper one. I believe it's just the Elgato Game Capture HD. I believe that's what it's called. But it's got an S-Video in it. S-Video and HDMI. That's the reason I bought that one. So I could do Super Nintendo and like my modern machines. But what I failed to realize was that one will not do 60 frames. And most Super Nintendo games, and I'm pretty sure most like retro games do run 60 frames. So that was the thing that I just completely missed in buying that capture card. So I did see a guy a little bit later on Facebook that was selling the HD60S that I'm using now that does do 60 frames, but the issue with that was that it's only HDMI. So the Super Nintendo Classic Edition does do HDMI, so to me, this is how you capture and stream Super Nintendo. I may be wrong about that, but it's pretty convenient as far as I see it. I've been really enjoying it today. I've been streaming off and on all day, just really kind of testing my streaming capabilities. But everything seems to be going pretty good. I found a way to negate the echo that's coming through my headphones a little bit. I've just turned down the volume to where I can't hear myself so much. And surely there's a way to where I can change my audio to where I'm not hearing myself through my headphones, but I'll have to look into that later. And if you guys know how to do that, go ahead and leave a comment. I'll check that later on. But let's find something a little bit more chill to play. I'm just kind of in a chill mood. Maybe a beat 'em up. I love beat 'em up games. My channel's called Beat 'em Up Joe's. I gotta feature some beat 'em up games. I've been playing a lot of Final Fight lately. It's one of my favorite beat 'em ups. It's probably the game that got me into beat 'em ups. But I've been trying to learn Cody's little turning punch thing, and it doesn't seem to work so well on the Classic Edition, at least going through the Elgato, because it does introduce a little bit of lag or latency, but that just hasn't been working out for me too well. But Final Fight's good. I was playing a little bit of Double Dragon earlier. I wasn't really feeling it, but let's find something maybe I don't play a whole lot of. Battletoads and Battle Maniacs is awesome. I really like that game. Batman Returns is one of my favorite beat 'em ups. When I discovered that guy, I was just like, wow, this game is cool. Let's see here, what else do I have on here? And I have hacked my SNES Classic, as you can see. I've got NES games on here. I've got Game Boy Advance games on here. I've got a bunch of games that, most of this stuff is stuff that I have picked up. I just threw it on here so I could get to it quicker. You know, that's the other advantage of the SNES Classic. It may not be as accurate as an actual Super Nintendo for this stuff, but it sure makes it a heck of a lot easier. Let's see here, Turtles in Time is always a good one. I was playing a lot of Super Smash TV earlier today. I love this game. Probably my favorite twin stick shooter. I just haven't found anything that really just matches up to Super Smash TV as far as fun factor goes. Super Punch Out. I've never played a lot of Super Punch Out. Punch Out is one of my favorite games, but Super Punch Out I've never really played a whole lot of. I like Punch Out on the Wii. That one's fun. I actually picked that up recently as well. Could stream some of that at some point. But my Wii is actually, I have a composite cable for it. I mean, component. I bought a component cable for it. It looks great on my TV. But I can't funnel that through either of my Elgatos at the moment. So I'll have to figure that out. Like I said before, I'm new to this stuff. I'm still learning how all of this stuff works. I'm learning. Some people call it Super Nintendo. I calls it awesome. Oh, let's see here. I know a lot of people really like Ninja 5-0. I've never really played a lot of it. I need to get to it. But NBA Jam Tournament Edition's real good. I've got the first two Mortal Kombat games. Played some Mega Man X today. I wasn't doing too great on that either. Minish Cap is fantastic. Hagane. That's one game that is super in high demand. I don't know that it's really as rare as people say because I see it everywhere. I'm part of the North American Super Nintendo Collectors Group, and this guy comes up all the time. And it's $300 to $500 every time I see it. It's just crazy. That's one that I'll probably never buy unless I get down to like it and Earthbound and Chrono Trigger and stuff like that. But actually Chrono Trigger has been fairly reasonable from what I've seen. I keep changing that. I want it by title. It's, you know, it's around $85. And that's really not super bad for some of these. It's the $200 and $300, $500 games that I'm just like, oh my gosh. And like I said, those would be like the last games that I buy if I ever get close to a full collection. That is the goal, especially with Super Nintendo. I'd like to have all North American releases. Move on to Super Famicom stuff. Super Famicom is cheap. I just haven't gotten into it yet. I need to grab a few next time I buy some games, but just haven't bought any. You know, I just can't settle on anything. Rock and Roll Racing is cool. Why don't we play a little bit of that? It's fun. It's got some cool rock and roll chiptune music. Drinking Dos Equis tonight. These big tall boy cans. They were cheap down at the convenience store, so I was talking about earlier in one of my other streams today that I really like the Super Nintendo sound chip. The way the Super Nintendo sound chip works is it's kind of this like sampler sequencer where you can apply samples to this guy and you just kind of sequence them like you would a drum machine. You sequence these samples, and some people use that to a really cool effect. Some don't, but
The stage is set. The green flag drop.
there's a lot of cool music on Super Nintendo games, and it's really cool, well done stuff.
Nick jams into first.
But this game is really cool. This is actually an old Silicon Synapse, which became Blizzard. You know, the guys who did World of Warcraft most famously, the Diablo series. Diablo 3 is fan-freaking-tastic. I love that game so much. There was a point where I was staunch, I like Diablo 2. I would rather have Diablo 2 back, but here lately I played through Diablo 3 with a buddy of mine, and I got way into Diablo 3. It's a cool game. I really wish I would have spent more time with it over the years now. When it came out, I played a crap ton of it. I played all the difficulties at that time and had a lot of fun with it. That's one thing about Diablo 3. The difficulty setting progression is so fun. It's almost more fun than the level progression. They did a really good job on it. Diablo 3 is cool. What was I even saying? Oh! This is an old Blizzard game. And there's a few games that Blizzard actually made for the Super Nintendo. They ported this one, Blackthorn. Warcraft was on PlayStation. But Warcraft is on PlayStation. The original Diablo is on PlayStation. I actually just bought that guy. I got a pretty good deal on it, I think. I can't remember what I paid for it. It may have been about $50. But I got a fairly good deal on it. And I'm super happy to have that copy of Diablo again. I remember buying that when it came out because me and my buddies were pretty into the PC version of Diablo. I was pretty poor growing up. We didn't have a whole lot of money, so my PC situation wasn't, really the best. Diablo ran on my PC. I'm trying to think of what was the actual issue with my PC version of Diablo. Oh, our internet was, internet at that time was not great in the first place, but the internet package that it wasn't even internet packages back then. It was dial-up internet, and the modem that we had was just not up to snuff to play on Battle.net. So this PlayStation version of Diablo that came out was awesome because it had multiplayer, two-player, single screen Diablo, and it was so much fun, dude. When it came out, a buddy of mine that was also way into Diablo, and we played a lot of StarCraft. We had bought that game, and we played it all night long, like literally all night long. We looked up at one point, and the sun was up. So we played a crap ton of Diablo on launch. It was cool. And I played quite a bit of it when I got that PlayStation version again here recently, and I had a great time with it. I like Blizzard games. look for me to do a video over Blizzard games and probably Diablo 3 as a focus, because I really like Diablo 3. I've never played a lot of World of Warcraft or StarCraft 2. I played a lot of StarCraft back in the day, but StarCraft 2, for whatever reason, like I said earlier, my PC is not really optimized for gaming, so I never really played a lot of StarCraft 2. When I got this video card that I have now, I played a little bit of StarCraft 2, but like, I've got like the first episode or whatever when they gave it away for free, and that's all I have. So I never played a lot of it. I never really thought about spending money on it. There were other games that I'd rather have. I'm just more of a console player in the first place. Computers were never really... I never had beefy enough computers to play any of like the super cool games. So I've never been a huge PC gamer. It's always been consoles. So because there was a console version of Diablo 3, and actually there was a couple. I've got the original release of Diablo 3 on PS3. You know, there's just a excuse me guys, there's a few things different about that version. You know, the locations of the key wardens for the Infernal Machine and stuff like that. It's also a completely different trophy set, if you care about trophies anymore. I think they're cool. I've only got one platinum. One platinum, and it's almost mandatory. It's The Walking Dead, Telltale Games. I think just about every playthrough of that game you get that platinum. So I'm not great at video games. I love them though. So let's do some upgrading here. What do we got? 40,000. I can buy a motor. I can buy some armor. I can buy some tires. I can buy some weapons. I think I'll buy a motor. But that's one of the cool things about Rock and Roll Racing, is that you can buy upgrade parts, buy weapons, which I haven't even been using weapons.
Let the carnage begin!
But that's another cool thing about Rock and Roll Racing, just the weapon system. The car that I'm using right now... That was dumb. The car that I'm using right now is equipped with a gun, what do you call it, oil slick dispenser. Drop that behind yourself and you can slide around on your oil slick. And that jump that jumped me off the track, I think it's called the Grasshopper. But this is usually the starter car that I pick. There's a car that I buy next that has a speed boost as one of its pieces of equipment. That's cool. It's got some landmines. This is usually the car that I start out with. I can get pretty far with this car. Most of the time I don't even have to use weapons. But it's a cool part of this game that it has weapons. It's part of its charm. It's rock and roll. It's metal. You know, you see the spikes on the side of the track here. This is a really fun, like, racing game. Even if you're not into racing games, I really like racing games. But I don't really even consider this a racing game. This is more of a arcade game to me. It's just fun. Cool characters. I like their little portraits.
Viper is in another time zone.
And the rock and roll music is just cool. These chiptune versions of like Paranoid and My Sharona and stuff like that. Bad to the bone.
The stage is set. The green flag drops.
It's just a cool game. And Blizzard actually
Damn.
Gave this, Bloodthorn, and I believe Lost Vikings away on PC as part of a Blizzard's Classics collection. They just gave them away to people who had Battle.net accounts. And I have those on my PC. I haven't launched them. I've never played the PC version of this game or Blackthorn. There was a time that I played a lot of Blackthorn on Super Nintendo. Excuse me. But I haven't picked it up since I've been collecting. It might be kind of uncommon. I've never even really seen it anywhere. But if I do see it somewhere and it's, you know, reasonably priced, I'll pick it up. Because I used to play quite a bit of it back when I had my Super Nintendo before. I remember I had rented it, and then it was in a bargain bin at some point. I know I didn't have a box or manual. It was just in one of those like hard plastic cases that games used to come in. They were in a little bin in the aisle in Walmart. But I had bought Blackthorn there. Really dug it. It's funny. I bought Blackthorn in one of those bins. I bought Wolfchild in one of those bins. It's a pretty uncommon game now. I thought it was kind of dumb, but I don't know. People like that game. But back in the day, I wasn't way into it. Funny thing about Wolfchild is I actually thought that was Altered Beast because I had played. Oh, and speaking of arcade games, Altered Beast was also an arcade game that was in that Taylor's in the town that I grew up in, and I had played Altered Beast when I was a young child, and I saw that game Wolfchild in this bargain bin at Walmart. And I was like, oh, it's that game! Turns out it wasn't Altered Beast. Altered Beast is a Sega game. But I didn't know that. Out there. I had thought that I had found that game that I played on that arcade machine. And, you know, that game blew me away back then. Because, you know, it had the speech. It had those really large sprites. And, it's a cool game. And, you know, Altered Beast is goofy if you play it now. It's not. But you know, there's people out there that are Sega fans like I am, Nintendo fans. They're just like, you know, that's part of Sega's history. And you would be right. And I completely understand where you're coming from, but it's just too bad Sega's terrible. Sorry. I mean, there's some Sega games that I really like, but for the most part, I'm just not a big Sega guy. I'm actually really bummed. So, I just went on vacation this past weekend, and while I was on vacation, I was just checking the Facebook for sale in my area, and that's where I find a lot of consoles and games that I buy. And there was a guy that was selling a Sega Genesis Model 1 and a frickin' Sega Saturn for $15 frickin' dollars. And I was in Arkansas, and this is back here in Texas, and I messaged the guy, and I was like, dude, I really want that Saturn, especially. You know, the Sega Genesis would be cool. I'm playing video games now. It would just be cool to have. And he was like, well, you know, I don't really want to hold it. I feel like you're going to back out and you get back and stuff like that. And I was like, dude, come on. I'll pay you double. So we agreed that I would pay him $30 for this Sega Genesis Saturn. And I thought we'd had an agreement. You know, he was like, yeah, I'll do that. I get back that day, the day that I told him I'd be back, and I messaged him. I'm like, hey man, I'm back in town. What's your address? I'll come by and get those Segas. You know, I'll pay you. And didn't hear anything from him. Then a couple days later, came up in my Facebook feed that he had removed the consoles from the marketplace. It didn't even say sold like it says a lot of times. It was removed from the marketplace. And I'm just kind of bummed about that. I would have loved to have that Saturn. There's a lot of like great 2D games on the Saturn, and I've never even owned a Saturn. They're pretty uncommon in some areas. I never saw a lot of them. I knew one kid that I had heard owned a Saturn anyway, and I've never played one. I've never seen one in the wild. Well, you know, I've seen them at shops, but like I've never like gone over to a kid's house and, oh, you got a Sega Saturn? Let's check this out, you know. So they're fairly uncommon in my circles. But they're kind of a rare system in the States. It was much more popular in Japan. And most of the good games on the Saturn are going to be imports, but I was just really excited to get it, and I missed out on it. I was real bummed. But after that, I did actually end up getting a
dominating the race.
Halo limited edition original Xbox. So that was really cool. It works well. It looks good. It has the controller, the little companion DVD that came with the console. So that was really cool to get. I was able to talk the guy down a little bit just because I told him I was a collector and stuff. And that's another thing. If you collect video games, one of the best pieces of advice I've ever got, and this actually comes from Rocks here on YouTube. He said in one of his videos, you know, collecting advice, always let people know that you collect video games. You just never know what's going to happen. But because I told this guy I collect video games, you know, I wasn't just like, you know, buying this thing. I got it for like $40 off of what he was asking. So that was a good deal. I talked to a guy about an Apple II, and I didn't end up buying the Apple II because he was just going to want more than I really wanted to pay for something like that, because, you know, it's not really a gaming machine. It's not. But I thought it was cool. You know, it's an old piece of hardware. I'd like to have one, but not for $200-300 that the guy was asking for it. But because I'm a game collector, and I, you know, let him know that, hey, the reason that I would want to have this guy is just for, you know, history and preservation of video games, and just to, you know, have in my collection. Because I had told him that, he was like, dude, you know what? I've got a bunch of original Xbox games. I saw that Xbox that you just bought. You know, why don't you buy these Xbox games off of me? And I got like 16 Xbox games for $40. So always tell people that you collect video games. You know, there may be someone that you know in your life that has some old video games from their kids or something that, like, they're just like, I don't care about this stuff. I was just going to throw it out or put it in a garage sale or whatever. And they may just be like, here, take them. You know, I've never had that happen to me. But you never know. But I take that back. My dad has been talking about for months, and I try not to push it about it. You know, he keeps talking about he works for the city and in a small town, and he keeps talking about he's got a few Nintendo games that are just like sitting in their shop up there, and he tells me about this all the time. And he's like, you know, there's some Nintendo games there in the shop. I keep meaning to bring them home for you. And I'm like, dude, please, I would love to have them, you know. But I don't want to push him, you know. I don't want to sound like an idiot, you know. But he actually brought that up today. He had watched my YouTube channel.
Out there. Shred fades into last.
which that was cool. But maybe he'll grab those NES games for me. Please, Dad, bring those home. I'd like to have them. But you know, I've never just been given games before. No, I take that back. I take that back. One time, my wife's brother, who is kind of sort of gamer. He's an Xbox guy. He had a 360. He had a PS2, and he's got an Xbox One now. But at one point, he had given me a PS2 and quite a few games. A lot of them didn't work and stuff, so it was kind of a bummer. But I actually ended up selling that PS2 along with some other stuff that I didn't really need. But that was one time that I was actually just given games. But I'm going to take another break here. We'll come back. Put up my be right back message. And I saw last time when I was putting this up that I can animate this guy. Oh, heck yeah. That's not necessarily what I want. Heck yeah. That's kind of cool. But does it just animate the one time? So, I don't know. We'll drop this here. And I'm going to take a quick break. And I'll be back with you guys. We'll chat some more about video games that I like. Alright guys, I am back. Let's get my webcam back up on here and play a little bit of something. I'm just about done, but we'll play a little bit of something else and chit chat for a little bit longer. That's really all I'm doing right now, is I'm just kind of talking about games that I like. Rock and Roll Racing's fun. I really like it, but as you guys know, if you've been watching, I wasn't really playing that game. Excuse me, I'm real burpy. Too much beer. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. But if you are watching with me, thank you for joining me here at Beat 'em Up Joe's. Please be sure to subscribe, like, comment, and share my videos. Just, anybody that likes video games, hook them up with my channel. I'm really looking for followers and subscribers right now. Get to monetization so I can start making a little bit of money with this. But it's really all about my passion, and I'd love to keep doing this for you guys. So if you guys can help me out, help me get subscribers and stuff, get me to that monetization level, that would be awesome. But I appreciate you joining me, even if there's a couple of you guys in here. I'm happy that you're here. Let's see what I'm going to play. Weapon Lord is a game that I played back in the day. I did actually play this game. It's a hard fighting game. It's made by Namco. Probably the same group of people, if not just the spirit that went into Soul Calibur later on for Namco. Really cool. Really awesome fighting game, weapons-based fighting game. This is, as you can see on the cover there, that it's an X-Band game. That was a modem that actually worked on the Super Nintendo. You plug a phone line into your Super Nintendo cart and play online with people. Really cool thing. I've seen a couple of those floating around. I'd like to have one in my collection. They're a little pricey though. Maybe later on. X-Men and Mutant Apocalypse. That's a really cool game. And I skipped over that guilty pleasure I was talking about. WrestleMania, the arcade game. Let's play this for a little bit. I really love this game. This came out at a time when I was into wrestling, and I was pretty way into wrestling when this came out. This was my era. Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon, Bret Hart, Diesel was another one that I really liked. Kevin Nash. But this was my time. WWF,
Razor Ramon versus the Young
Scott Hall and Nash Dawson actually gone to WCW after the famous curtain call, and as the Outsiders, and actually formed NWO, which was a huge thing in WCW, and actually kind of made WCW the wrestling program to watch. But before that stuff happened, the World Wrestling Federation was it, and they had a lot of characters at that time that were just huge, larger than life characters. They were actual characters. This game embodies the way that I saw professional wrestling then as a young child, and especially with the characters that they were featuring in the storylines. These guys were superheroes, they were doing all kinds of crazy stuff, and they were playing really cool characters. And this game just really I guess and that's what Midway was thinking when they made this game. They had seen some of the characters that these guys were portraying, and they just kind of gave it that little bit more to take it over the edge, and like things like Razor Ramon with his arms turning into razors, and let me show you this big uppercut. Uppercut these guys way up in the air, and it's just so cool. Like, this is the way, as I said, that I saw professional wrestling as a young man. I was young.
Here we go.
I don't know what era this actually is, early 90s. I don't know how old it was. Early 90s, early teenager, and these guys were cool to me, especially Razor Ramon. Nobody messes with the bad guy. It's just so cool. And this game is just an over-the-top Midway arcade game. This is the Mortal Kombat era NBA Jam digitized characters. They actually took these wrestlers into mocap, motion captured them, and digitized their likenesses, and just like they did for Mortal Kombat. And it's just a crazy, over-the-top 2D fight, and I don't know. I've just always really liked this game. You see the gold chains, and the razors fly out of Razor Ramon when he gets hit, and it's just, and it's really a bummer. I don't mean to talk so much about wrestling, but there was a time in my life when wrestling was a big thing. Now it's kind of embarrassing to say I like professional wrestling. At this time it was cool. It was cool to a lot of people that I knew. But it's kind of a shame what happened to Scott Hall, Razor Ramon. He did it to himself. He really did. It really hurts my feelings what happened to this guy. If you don't know this guy's story, you can probably find on YouTube or whatever. There's a documentary that ESPN did about Scott Hall, about his drug addiction, and it's just really sad. It's really sad what this guy did to himself. A lot of these guys were doing heavy drugs and just destroying themselves because, they were on the road 24/7, going from town to town. And a lot of these guys will say that, that's what got them to the next town. But still, this guy especially just completely destroyed himself. In this documentary that I'm talking about, you'll see when he came into the World Wrestling Federation, he was this giant monster of a man, and he finally went down to what he was as Razor Ramon, and just a shadow of who he was when he came in as, I can't even remember the name that he went by when he came in. He was just a giant dude, bodybuilder type. He had obviously done some work with his physique, and when he was Razor Ramon, he was in pretty good shape as well, but you can just see what he did to himself. And then after, in WrestleMania, he was WCW, he's in fairly good shape. But that's when things started to really go downhill, when NWO and Wolfpack really blew up to these guys. That's when he really just kind of lost it with the drugs and alcohol. And in that documentary, there's a spot in that documentary when he went to an independent wrestling show. These guys were super hyped to have him there, and this guy was in bad shape. Nobody had seen him wrestle for quite some time, and this guy shows up just like he was in bad shape. He's a little bit older, just drunk and drugged up, and just made an ass of himself. And it's just really sad to see, like, this guy was one of my heroes growing up, and look what happened to the guy. it really hurts my feelings. But all this is to say that, like, I also saw his induction to the WWE, excuse me, they've changed that, Hall of Fame. And, there was one thing that he said in this, and let's see if I can get the voice. When I saw the induction, I really liked what he was saying, and I did the voice really well. But let's see if I can do it. So he says, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it, but
Tonight's matchup, Razor Ramon.
I really like this guy. I really liked HBK. We've got Shawn Michaels here. But he says when he's inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, he says, hard work pays off, dreams come true. Bad times don't last, but bad guys do. And you know that Razor Ramon voice that he used to do. It's just so good, But another thing about Scott Hall that I forgot to mention that I learned of in this documentary. Now, after I've talked about all this, I'm going to go back and watch that documentary. But another thing that happened in this dude's life when he was young, when he was like in his early 20s, he got into a fight with a dude at a bar. He actually ended up shooting this dude, killing him. It's crazy the life that some of these guys had. And, you know, he was able to come away from that and, you know, live a life of, you know, relative stardom and to just destroy himself. It just really kind of blows me away that he was able to do that. You know, he had the ability to say, you know what, I don't even care. It's a real shame. And I mean, you know, we just talked about HBK, Shawn Michaels. He was part of that group. They called themselves the Clique. Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Diesel, Kevin Nash, Razor Ramon. They were in a group called the Clique. They always traveled together and, you know, did drugs together and crap like that. But you know, Shawn Michaels cleaned himself. He found Jesus and stuff, and really cool dude. I really wish this guy was still around. Probably the best physical entertainer that wrestling ever saw. Probably with, you know, maybe the exception of The Rock. But that guy, you know, as far as his entertainment abilities came from his mind, you know, his ability to get a crowd behind him and the things that he was saying, and, you know, body language and sort of stuff. But Shawn Michaels, just a joy to watch wrestling. You know, if you watch wrestling, you know, really cool dude. It's just really cool that, like, you know, Razor Ramon just destroyed himself. Scott Hall just destroyed himself. And Shawn Michaels, very much, you know, the same circles with this guy, was able to take a step back and say, you know what, I've screwed my life up. I've got a good life here. Ends up finding Jesus and just turning his life around. You know, good on that dude. I'm happy for him. Wish it could have gone that way for Scott Hall as well. It's just a shame. But enough sad stuff. This is a cool game. Cool Midway arcade game. And like I mentioned before, I never actually played this one in arcades as much as I really like this game. I never played it in the arcade. The original place that it was designed for. This was ported to a host of old consoles. It was ported to the Super Nintendo, the Sega Genesis, which this is one of the rare cases where I think the Sega Genesis version of this game is actually quite a bit better. A good example of why, as you can see here, we have 3 wrestlers in the ring. And you can see that slowdown when there are 3 wrestlers in the ring. And it's 3 is the max actually in this version of the game. In all other versions, you could have 4 wrestlers in the ring at the same time, and there wasn't near the slowdown. See how much faster it's going now that I've got Sean, that other Sean down. It sucks, and not having the ability to have the 4th wrestler in the ring sucks too. And another pretty big reason why this version is not so great is it's missing 2 characters. I don't know if there was just like space limitations on the Super Nintendo cart, or you know what, but it's missing Bam Bam Bigelow and Yokozuna. Excuse me. Which neither one of them are, my favorite wrestlers by any means. But Bam Bam Bigelow is actually a really cool character in this game. He's got some cool moves. His top rope move, he actually takes the guy through the mat in flames. It's really cool. He's got a pogo pile driver where he pile drives the dude 4 times, and that's one of the big things in this game. It's a arcadey game, and one of the big things is these combo moves. Sweet Chin Music is one of these, and he super kicks him 4 times. And Razor Ramon has they call it a rug shake. He grabs him by the feet, slams him on the mat 4 times. Let's see here. The Undertaker has a tombstone that you can smack him with 4 times. But it's a cool game. If you've never played this game, definitely check it out. I never hear a lot of people talk about it. I think it's a cool game. It's definitely not like Rise of the Robots, or it's not a bad game. Check it out. You may not have just heard of it. If you like one-on-one fighting games, midway arcade games, give this guy a shot. You might like it. It's one of my favorites, and I call it guilty pleasure because some people that have played it, aren't into wrestling, and
Here we go.
Kind of give it a bad rap, but I don't hear this guy talked about much, and it's one of my favorites. I spent so many hours playing this game when I was a kid, especially when I found out that there was a PlayStation port, had all the characters, no slowdown, the 4 wrestlers in the ring, all that stuff. It's a great port. I need to get me one of those. This is one of my side collections that I'm actually working on. I'd like to have every version of Wrestling arcade game that came out. But like I said, this was ported to a whole host of consoles. It was ported for the Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, Sony PlayStation, Sega Saturn, the 32X, the Sega 32X, that contraption that goes on the Sega Genesis.
Here we go.
I believe there may have been a Jaguar port. I may be wrong on that. Don't quote me. I don't know anything about the Jaguar. I never had a Jaguar. I've never been a big Atari guy. So when the Atari Jaguar was announced, I was like, oh cool, a 64-bit console.
Here we go.
By Atari. I never played one, never seen one. I don't even think I've seen an Atari Jaguar in a shop. I don't think they sold super well. I may be talking out of my ass right now. I don't know anything about the Jaguar. That's what I just said. I don't know anything about the Jaguar. The only thing that I know about the Jaguar is that Aliens vs. Predator game is supposed to be awesome. But I've never owned one. I've never known anybody that's owned one. I need to find one, but I don't know. But back to the ports that were made. There's a PC port that I've actually played. It's on
Nicely done.
Abandonia.com. It's a site dedicated to abandoned video games. They call it abandonware. I don't know that that's actually an abandoned video game. You know, I wouldn't call it abandonware. And there's a lot of games like that on this site that I'm kind of like, that's kind of a gray area. But this is actually available to download there, and I've played that version quite extensively. I'd like to find a big box version of this game for my collection. But it was ported to a lot of different things. It's a cool game. Check it out if you've never even heard of it. You like Midway arcade games, you like Mortal Kombat, you like NBA Jam. Give this guy a shot. It's WrestleMania, the arcade game. Very cool game. I usually like to play quite a bit of it, but I'm sitting here chit-chatting with you guys. I'm just about done playing video games for the day. I've been playing off and on all day long. I had a pretty lengthy session of Guitar Hero Live just a little while ago. I really like Guitar Hero TV in that game. It's really cool. You play along with actual music videos. It's really cool. I actually just picked up a second guitar for that, so a buddy of mine had been playing a lot of Guitar Hero Live, so I may be streaming some of that here in the upcoming future. Have me and my buddy playing some Guitar Hero Live. It's pretty fun. But I've been playing a lot of video games today. I think I'm just about done. I was talking to my buddy Ahmed today. We were texting back and forth a little bit. He was talking about Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. This is a game that I actually skipped on Wii U, even though I heard a lot of people like really talking good things about it. Now that it's come out on the Switch, I'd like to buy it, but I've bought so much other stuff here lately. I just can't really do it. But my buddy said that he really likes Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. We bought our Switches at the same time, and he really likes the Switch. So, let's see here. I never liked Kirby's Dream Course. I know a lot of people really like that game. It's just never been my cup of tea. But, like I say, I think I'm just about done. It was cool hanging out with you guys. If you joined in and were watching me for a little while, I definitely appreciate you. Be sure to subscribe, like, comment, get a conversation going, you know, like, I don't even know what I was trying to say, but like, you know, talk with some of these guys that are in here with you and like share some experiences about retro video games and games collecting. I'd love to have a community that just talks with each other. That'd be really cool. Share these videos with your friends. If you know other people that like video games, you know, tell them about me. I would love to, you know, make more videos like this for you guys, and the best way to keep me doing this is to get more people following me. So definitely subscribe, share my videos with your friends. We'll catch you next time. Thanks for hanging out with me.